National Aeronautics and Space Administration, NASA, is the United States government agency, of course, responsible for the civilian space program as well as aeronautics and aerospace research. Okay, Dave, I know that well, but they're here for the first time this year at CES. Space Technology Mission Directorate. Whoa. That seems like a cool title, and it's on his business card even. With NASA is Derek Wang. Derek, welcome into Tomorrow. How are you?
Hey, how are you doing?
Doing fine. First obvious question is what brings NASA to CES? Yeah. And don't tell me one of the older space shuttles. I mean, what? Why is NASA here?
So, great question, and thank you for this opportunity. NASA's here because we want to inform the public that we have a very vital space program ongoing.
Good.
A lot of people, associated that once we retired the space shuttle, that NASA was pretty much dead. We're not doing anything, and that's untrue. We actually are doing a lot more to actually advance the technologies to be able to get further than we are going today. So beyond space station and eventually footprints on Mars.
Oh, very cool. Because we have the footprints on the moon.
Correct.
And though we haven't been back there in forever.
No, and they're real footprints.
And they are real footprints, exactly. It's not CG or something.
Exactly.
In spite of all the bizarreness that we hear. But in the meantime, though, it's really cool because you guys are here talking about, for example, the use of virtual reality to help astronauts prepare for space travel even. Who would have thunk it?
Yeah, correct. So we were here for this show because we've been wanting to come to the show for a while, and we're trying to see the best fit, how we can actually fit into the show. And as NASA has advanced its technologies, we've been able to utilize a lot of the consumer electronic gadgets and tools here to actually use for training in real environments instead of just gaming and technology. Now we're actually using virtual reality to train our astronauts, train our employees to be more efficient, to be safer in what they do, and be able to be prepared before they actually do on the hands-on activities.
So really, and you've been, as you mentioned, using gaming, for example, because it does do, I guess, some helpful training with eye-hand coordinations and timing and just various and sundry things. And it's great to be able to network here at a show like CES that gives you the opportunity to say, now what more can we learn from what you guys are doing?
Definitely. By the time, some of the technologies we use already for some of the virtual headgears, they've just, it's 6 months ago, it's already advanced. So we're always here trying to find out how we can utilize those tools better for in the future.
And I think what's cool about that is that you, with NASA has always brought us so many cool things over the years as it relates to technology in our everyday lives.
Correct.
And sometimes it took years to get to us consumers, Velcro and things like that, right? all originally NASA stuff. That now it's also nice to get the industry to sort of give back, in a sense, to NASA by saying, well, maybe this will also help. You're already using some of our technologies. Here's some we can share with you.
You want a job in NASA? You're doing taking all the right, saying all the right things. Exactly.
When it's time to retire, maybe I'll be spokesman for NASA.
For sure. I'll definitely love to have you staff our booth. But definitely, yes, a lot of the technologies that we create for InSpace, we're actually trying to find what we call spin-offs that we can apply to everyday life, anything from the healthcare to safety to manufacturing, even transportation. We all flew in a plane here. All the new technologies to advance safer, more efficient flight for even on airplanes are things that we're looking to do, and then also place into the airline industry as well.
But let's spend a couple of minutes talking about the things that you guys have done over the years, because I think that's important to remind people. I mentioned Velcro. It's one of hundreds of things, I'm sure, that you guys spew on a regular basis. Yeah, but what about? Don't forget, that NASA and the space program has helped the world, but certainly the rest of us Americans as well, in our everyday lives again. Just to remind people, it's like, oh, wow, that came from the space program?
So actually, it's a myth that Velcro came from NASA.
Great. The one thing
Velcro and Tang, right? But a lot of things such as, right now in long-duration flight, we have an astronaut up there who's going to be up there in March for a whole year.
Wow.
And so what we're trying to do is see how the effects of being in a microgravity environment affects the human body. So a lot of that information, when we come back, when the astronaut returns, we will be able to take some of that information and better our own personal health.
So it becomes a really important aspect of health tech.
Correct.
That does help us. Again, the space program giving us this knowledge. Not that a lot of us are going to be in a weightless environment, but everything that you learn from that helps us with whether it's bone issues or muscle fatigue and all the rest of it that can help us.
Even from your eye, when being in a microgravity environment affects your eyes as well. So all of that you mentioned are things that hopefully from space exploration we'll be able to take that information and greater improved our lives here on Earth.
Yeah. Well, tell me that at least super glue or something came from the space program, because I'm having a heck of a time trying to remember. I mean,
not duct tape either. Post-it notes. We've had all that. But I mean, we've had a lot of really cool. Like right now, there's a new thing for. Let's mention airplane. So that we flew here. We're actually looking at. People don't think about it when you're actually flying in space. Bugs will actually hit the cockpit, right?
Yeah.
So they're actually inventing new ways and materials to actually help deflect the bugs off airplane cockpits, because what happens is when bugs actually hit the cockpit, it creates drag, and that actually at time it actually increases fuel price. The drag will increase the
or the bug that is now just bug guts.
Yeah,
the point is it's still drag.
Correct. So we're trying to find ways and working with manufacturers to be able to improve those technologies so where bugs can deflect a little better, and it actually helps cut down. Winglets. I mean, you saw some of when you fly here. If you look outside your airplane, there's sort of these two things that stick up on top of the wings that actually help make flying more efficient. That came from NASA as well.
Cool. Now, see, there's something that the rest of us can relate to, because very rarely now do we fly on a plane that doesn't have the winglets.
Correct.
And apparently, it makes enough of a difference in, I guess, fuel savings and control of the aircraft and stuff like that. That all the airlines have gone to that, I guess, except for a couple models where it wouldn't make a difference or something.
Yeah, the ones that you have to go spin the propellers.
Yeah, right, those guys. But now, before we're out of time, you also brought some things to show. We have an asteroid chunk.
Yes.
Well,
this is a model of an asteroid, a meteorite. It's called Big Block. Block Island was taken. The larger piece is bigger than, closer than this table. But what's neat about this was taken from our rover, and what do we want to do is really focus on our 3D printing. Okay, so 3D printing has become, there's a lot of the technology that's around, and we're using it not just for educational purposes and science purposes, but also for creating more things that are in space, such as this.
Yeah, we got
this
like
is
a 3D
tool.
printed wrench in
Correct.
this case.
So what's so cool about this is it's actually a wrench that we print in on the International Space Station. There is a 3D printer on the International Space Station right now.
Wow.
So we are testing the how 3D printing can be affected while in space. So we're printing tools.
So does it work similarly to here on Earth in terms of a 3D printer just doing its thing, layering?
Exactly.
Oh, okay.
And so we're printing that in space and trying to test out its durability and how it all works. And one thing is a nice, cool citizen science sort of aspect is we're doing a lot of CubeSats right now. So we're launching CubeSats to space station, and they're all powered by cell phones or powered by little devices.
I have to tell you, I would have been maybe a little more impressed if you brought a 3D print of, say, the Millennium Falcon or something these days, right? Because at least it would relate to space. But this one, at least, is printed with JPL on it, as in, I'm going to guess, Jet Propulsion Lab.
Correct. So one of our 10 NASA centers that help advance a lot of our technology. We've done our show from
there many years ago, as well as the Kennedy Space Center.
Perfect.
So we'll have to do
that. So this is a model. So what it is actually a lot of high school students, and students are able to actually launch stuff in space by using 3D printers and building such things as like CubeSats and stuff.
Yeah, so like a student can perhaps send, through you, obviously, a model or of some sort, or a diagram, whatever, to the 3D printer in the International Space Station, and the astronauts there will print it.
Correct.
And utilize it perhaps as a tool or something of that sort.
Correct. And actually we're using that as some of our educational sort of stimulants for students that do research on printing specific things in a microgravity environment. So there's an opportunity for them to print it, and we actually bring that piece back to them, and they can study it in their classrooms and stuff and see how all the effects of microgravity and is it the tool that they wanted, and all that kind of stuff.
Awesome stuff, Derek. We appreciate the things that you and your teams back at NASA are doing on a regular basis. We just wish that we could get our astronauts back again with a space shuttle or something. You're working on that too.
Working on that too.
With other companies, and saying who can do the best job and be most efficient and get us back safely to Earth, of course.
Correct.
And so always keep an eye on NASA.gov and ASA, of course, .gov. We'll link you there too, so you'll see what Derek and his teams are up to on a regular basis. Thanks for spending a few minutes with us. Welcome to CES.
Thank you.
It's our 21st, so you got a few years to catch up to us. But glad to see that NASA's here on the show floor as well.
Thank you so much for the opportunity.
It's our pleasure. We're back with more as Into Tomorrow continues, our 21st year, as I mentioned, from CES, as Into Tomorrow continues right here on the Advanced Media Network. Don't go away.